Hello, hello. Welcome back to another Fruitbox and Alpaca Laka ramble video. Due to very
Hello.
popular demand and many, many fan letters, we are back. And the topic this time is going to be life before and after COVID. It's just going to be talking about the changes that we all experienced in our lives. Well, mainly us two. But yeah, do you want to get started? Just explain kind of what was going on when COVID hit and how that affected you?
Yeah, just before COVID, I was returning from Tokyo, and I remember hearing about this like virus in China. And I just thought, oh, it's another Ebola. It won't really affect me or do anything to me. But yeah, pretty soon after, I was not allowed to go anywhere really. London was pretty strict. Oh, not as strict as other. Well, I mean, not as strict as other places, but especially compared. Yeah, I was on a foundation course, which is what you do just before going
Sorry,
into
can you
art
can you
uni.
go back like 10 seconds because my network paused for like a second, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Um, yeah, I was just saying that London went into lockdown pretty quick and pretty strict. And at the time, I was on a foundation course, which is what you do before going to art uni. Well, you don't have to, but you may as well. It's just helpful. So I was doing that, and that's obviously quite practical. And my just last 3 months was just kind of wiped off, and they just gave me a predictive grade of it, which I guess was good, but also not that much bang for my buck and just kind of disappointing. There's a lot of people I never saw again on that course. But yeah, I remember the first little bit of lockdown. I thought, oh, it's going to be a week maybe, and then we'll be back out. And I was like, oh, it's actually kind of exciting. It'll be something to tell people. And then I was in Newcastle at the time, which for people, for most of the people listening, will not be from England. It's a very northern city of England, as far as I could be away from home, really. And I was locked up there for the whole of lockdown one, which got a bit tiring. I was stuck with my ex and her parents, just cramped into her bedroom like 24/7, just trying to go insane. And yep, didn't have like my laptop, didn't really speak to people, didn't have anything to do. But yep, eventually went to uni the year after, which was when lockdown had gone off, like had gone away by that point after it lifted. And then I think a month after going into uni, we had a second lockdown, and for the rest of the uni year, I wasn't in uni. So, and I do an arts degree, which is very practical and needs a lot of studio space, and just overall, just I need to be in uni for it to be useful. And instead, I had to do everything out of my kitchen in my accommodation, which just wasn't practical. And I think my quality of work really suffered. But year one doesn't matter grade wise for uni, and I guess year one's the best one to be locked down in. It worse socially, but best because yeah, it didn't matter grades wise. Whereas people who were in their final year probably got fucked grades wise by being locked down on an arts course. And then yeah, this year I think quite early into my uni year for year two, I was allowed back into the studio, and it's been fine since.
Yeah, so you kind of basically started off right into COVID, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I had a slightly unique experience of uni during COVID at
Yeah,
some point.
I
But that'll
could.
be an interesting conversation starter, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it was a little bit different because I was actually just finishing up uh, university. I was just on my very last term. So the last, basically, here it's like 4 months, roughly 3 to 4 months per term. And so I was doing that in between January to like, what was it? I think like May I finished. And so the lockdowns and shit pretty much started happening, I think about April here. That's kind of when they started posting notices and saying like, hey, don't come to campus. But it really didn't affect me that much because I only had like I think two classes or something, and then I had my research work. and I think my two classes were actually online. So I was
Yeah,
already not coming mostly. The only time I was coming to campus for that semester was when I'd actually go talk to my professor for about actual research stuff, and basically just switched to doing that over email. And yeah, that's pretty much how it went for me. So like I kind of avoided most of the hassle of it. Like I didn't have to go through the, I didn't have any classes where I have to go to a lab and be in person and then somehow figure out how to do that at home or make up for it. I know a lot of people were just in very weird situations, like you said, with art. Like you can't really, you kind of need the facilities, so you gotta do something.
yeah. You can't really do an online arts degree very well.
Yeah, but my major was computer science anyway, so online
Yeah,
classes were pretty common even before COVID.
yeah,
But yeah, like I can relate because I have two younger sisters and they 2 years younger than me, so they were just like right in the middle of college when this happened. And
yeah,
I definitely hurt them like socially and stuff. Because yeah, like literally the parents of their friends were just like, nope, we're not letting anyone visit anyone else, and we're just like, no, we'll just sit by ourselves in our apartments.
yeah.
And yeah, I know they struggle with that. But for me, like it's kind of funny. Like my lifestyle didn't change one bit for COVID. Kind of sad actually, but um, basically I'd been going ever since I graduated high school. I'd just been going to well, even before graduating high school, I'd just been basically going to school, going back home, and I've just been living at home all for college as well. And,
Yeah,
towards the end of my degree, I've been taking more and more online classes, so the amount of times I'd have to go in, fewer and fewer. And so it basically just, turned to me basically staying at home most of the time anyway. So all the isolation and stuff wasn't that big a deal for me.
yeah,
But yeah, I know it hits like different people very hard, and like some people are like, but I think especially it depends on the area. So like you're in the UK and you mentioned London was fairly strict with the lockdowns, right?
yeah.
And the funny thing is here, I don't think we ever had, at least not where I live, an actual lockdown.
Yeah, I remember talking to you
Yeah,
about.
like the most. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just remember when it was happening. Like I would be talking to you, and I just I wasn't allowed to leave the house, and yeah, nothing was really going on for you.
Yeah, there might have been some restrictions like you can't leave the state or something, and like you can't get on a plane and fly to another state. Maybe there was something like that. Um, but as far as like you for like leaving the house and going to the store and stuff, like you could do that. And the only difference was that when you're in the store or like pretty much any building, like you had to wear a mask. That was pretty
What
much the only thing.
you did or didn't have to wear
No,
masks.
you did.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
it was like a mandate. And then, but I do remember this one thing where for a while they locked off the beach for some reason. Like, so there's like I usually go up to visit my dad like every weekend, and he lives like
yeah,
right on the beach, so I usually get to go there every weekend. And there's like a like a promenade plaza kind of thing on the beach where there's like grass and like picnic tables and stuff. And then there's the actual beach with the sand and the water. And they were closed off the area with the sand and the water. So like they had like the yellow police line tape at every like entrance, and then they had like police officers on like ATVs like patrolling the beach. Um, but it was weird, like, cause you could still go inside the bars. Like, there's a bunch of bars that are on the beach, and you could go inside those, and you could also like have picnics. I think just not under the pavilions for some reason, but like people
yeah,
did that anyway. I don't know. It was kind of weird, and then they stopped that. I think that lasted a couple of months in 2021, I think.
yeah,
But aside from that, yeah, there wasn't really too much change here, and we've been back to normal for a long time now. But yeah, I think it really depends on states because I think like California was super locked down, New York was super locked down. Like New York
yeah.
is pretty much you're not allowed to leave your apartment type of shit. So I guess I'm glad I didn't have to go through that.
Yeah, no, at the time I wasn't that big of a person for going out, but it's even just things such as just not really being able to go just get some air or like go to the shop easily. It just got everything was just maddening, and everything. Any shops that were open had giant like queues and was only allowed a certain amount of people in at a time. And
Yeah.
I think it was just surreal.
I mean, I'm
It
pretty
was,
much a shut-in at this point,
yeah,
but even I like to go out for walks a bunch. So if I couldn't do that, if I like physically couldn't leave the house or wasn't allowed to, that would suck pretty bad. Because yeah, I mean like sitting inside your house all day and never leaving, that does drive you crazy, even if you're like me. Like you just do it long enough.
yeah. It's just like not having the option or choice, even if you didn't really do it before.
Hmm.
Be have the option taken away from you is what really gets you.
Yeah, I'm sure all the NEETs felt that, these
No,
lockdowns.
and I reckon people went crazy on RuneScape though.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Is like
We
during,
didn't. What were those? Are they called stimulus packages, or what was the thing that like it was just
yeah. So
everyone got
during,
like free money?
I think during 2020 and maybe even 2021, I don't remember, but during 2020 there was like two stimuluses, and it was basically like I think it checked like you how much you make, and if you fall in the certain tax bracket, like you're not making too much money, they'll just send you a check for like 1,000 something dollars. It's like $1,600 or something.
That'd be beautiful.
Oh, dude, like it was fucking insane. Cause I remember, like, I don't think the check actually worked, right? Like if you make too much money, cause like my dad got one, and he makes like, oh, well over the limit, whatever they said it was, and I got
Yeah.
one too as well, and I'm pretty sure I'm over the limit. I think just a lot of people basically got it, and they didn't actually need it, and so they basically just don't like bought like crypto or stocks, and that's why those markets went up so much.
Oh yeah.
Because like if you looked at the stock market and crypto market, like just any of those markets before 2020 and then after, it's just insane how much money went into that. Now it's like all kind of crashing. I don't know if you saw.
I've not been paying much attention, but just what I like to hear. Like it's no longer being forced down my throat. I haven't heard about NFTs or crypto for a good
Not even that, just like
month.
actual like stocks are just in the toilet too. Everything.
I really.
Yeah, market's down. But it's
Uh,
like it's like it dropped a ton, but it's still above pre-COVID levels, so I don't know. There's a lot of
weird
inflation though.
little something that happened during COVID. Well, I guess near the end of COVID. The games, the GameStop stock thing was a funny
Oh yeah,
little.
dude, I remember GameStop and AMC and shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was just like against short and GameStop, and then fucked. This stock went insane.
Yeah, I followed
And
that a little bit when it started making the news. It was basically like there's like a subreddit, right, called Wall Street Bets, which is just like
yeah,
people
yeah,
doing insane like Robinhood trading. And basically one guy who's actually like kind of new as shit, he did a bunch of research on the GameStop stock and found out like, all these companies are planning to short it and they're going to do this, but and then he found out like, oh, but it has real market value, whatever. He did a bunch of research and he's like, I'm gonna go all in. And then other people saw that and they're like, I'm gonna go in all in too. And so basically, all the people that were actually like, shorting it, like on Wall Street, were starting to lose lots of money because the stock kept going up. And when you short a stock and the stock goes up, you lose money. And they were losing a
yeah,
ton. And there's this
yeah,
whole fiasco with Robinhood where they basically disallowed people to actually buy the GameStop stock, and there's a lot of controversy because rig system and shit.
yeah. No, that's fine. But
Basically,
I
the
remember the guy who started it. Actually, I think I remember he said something along the lines of he had at one point I think $10+ million worth of the stock, but just held.
dude, his actual like I don't know what he sold at or if he ever sold, but his the numbers he was getting was insane, dude. Like what he started with compared to what he make, because the stock was basically like dirt cheap. It was like nothing, right? I
Yeah,
think it may have been a couple dollars, right? And then it went to like $100, right? Or something like that. I don't remember the actual numbers, but it basically 100x.
yeah. Christ.
Fuck, man. It's like moments I wish I had a time machine, bro.
Yeah, that. Oh man, yeah, but that was just something. I know it's not exactly related to COVID, but it was just a similar around in those years, and that was just an interesting thing.
I think it is kind of related to COVID, like the all the crazy financial stuff we've been seeing, like all the crypto and NFT hype and shit, and just I think it's just a lot of it is like people bored at home, they got their stimulus checks, they're looking for a quick, easy money maker, and then like they see this random coin some guy promoted on Twitter, and they're like, I'm gonna support that. There's like
I
so
think
many fucking like scams in that space.
the
It's
shit
insane.
coins and rug balls and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the same thing every time, and it just people fall for it every time.
it's just like desperation, isn't it? They're just so desperate for the money.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of people that were like actually struggling really bad because COVID fucked over a lot of people with jobs like closing. If you're a small business and you have to close for like months and months, you probably don't have like the money saved up to just stay in business. You have to go out, you go bankrupt.
Yeah,
And so those people lose their jobs, whoever worked for that. So yeah, that's
yeah.
that's really
I
bad.
think that thing isn't as much related to COVID as crypto was, because the NFT is more of recent thing, and I think that's more. I guess it's linked in the way I think the NFTs blew up because everyone saw what happened with Bitcoin and stuff, where everyone got rich. Well, not everyone. I'm saying everyone. I mean, a bunch of people posted about making a lot of money off crypto, and everyone was jealous that they weren't able to go back and do what they did. And then they see NFTs happening, and they want to jump on it. So that's why that desperation has happened, rather than COVID. Probably, yeah, caused would have helped the crypto boom. Because yeah, I don't see how COVID would really affect NFTs.
No,
I think
yeah, I'm just saying like very indirectly. Like it kind of started this whole thing where people are just getting looking for quick money makers in like the stock market or crypto or NFTs or whatever. It's
yeah.
just like a thing now.
But
I think it's ending though because like just so much shit is crashing. It's insane.
casual people can't afford to hold, really.
Yeah, I
A lot of
mean,
the time,
we're going I
all they
think
can
we're going
uh,
into a really deep recession now because like we were so inflated for a long time. Like
yeah,
the crypto market was so high during 2021, Bitcoin was like 65,000 and now Bitcoin is like 20K I think or below.
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of insane shit happen in the near future.
No.
But
Well,
that was just another interesting aspect, I guess, all the financial shit going on.
yeah.
I do think the stimulus checks fucked us though, like really badly, because now we have this insane inflation in the US. It's
I
just
think
like,
it was good for the people who actually needed it. Like, did you get furlough? Like, were you still getting paid by your work?
I mean, I never got unemployed
Oh yeah.
because I was working remote.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. But do you know if in America they had a furlough system, like where companies were still paying their workers just?
No, I mean, dude, like the US is really bad for like employees. Like we
Yeah.
don't even have mandated vacation time. Like we don't have shit like furlough. Basically, company can fire you whenever they want in most states.
Yeah, that's why a stimmy was needed then for like people where
I
yeah,
mean,
they rent and live in.
I guess so in that case, like someone needed to do something, but it was just like, you know, I think it was way too much, right? They gave people way too much. They gave people who didn't need it, and it just made things a lot worse because you're gonna have to pay for that, and we are paying for it now with insane inflation. Inflation's like 10% or something.
Nice.
It's like all the shit's going up, man. Especially gas. Gas has just been insane.
But the gas is the Ukraine
People
Russia
say
thing.
that, but I don't think it's just that.
Oh no, it's definitely
I
not
think it's
that.
been a long time coming. Like it's gonna happen. I think it's also part of inflation though. Like I mean everything goes up, so but yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy now we have like $5 gas, $6 gas when I think in like
What was the
2019 we had like $2 gas or something.
oh well.
So yeah. Yeah, but I mean like you kind of wish like you could just go back pre-COVID and just like choose a different branch of history where it never happened.
Yeah, there's not really any benefit.
Yeah, there's nothing like good that came out of COVID that I'm really thinking of.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird to think of it as like a big era change where because like I think a lot it really depends on the place, but some places are just like the same as they were in like middle of 2020, you know?
yeah.
Like some places are still on lockdown and shit.
Australia seems pretty strict about it, and obviously we know Japan is, because that's something that we were meant to go to Japan this summer, and they're just not letting us in.
Yeah, so
Like,
we went at the end of 2019. We got super lucky that we like if our trip had been a month later, we could have gotten stuck in Japan because there were a lot of people who
yeah,
did got stuck.
I was changing through Shanghai as well.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, so yeah, that would have been interesting.
Kind of a miracle that that went off without a hitch, but yeah, I mean we were planning to go again in the summer of 2020, I believe, right?
No, 2022.
No, no. Originally, we wanted to go. This was but before COVID happened. Like we got back and we are like, hey, do you want to go again? This time with more people.
Yeah,
And
no, that was
I
that
think
was
we talked about 2020, but then COVID happened. We're like, all right, let's wait till 2021 because then probably everything will be resolved. 2021
correct.
rolls around, nothing. 22. All right, let's do 2022, and now you know, once again, still locked.
Now it's 2023.
Hopefully.
I I I I hate to say this because I really don't, but I feel like surely next summer we can go.
Yeah, we're gonna be saying the same thing next summer, maybe.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I don't know, like, cause like what their plan is, cause like all the countries around them mostly have opened up. Like you can go to Korea and shit, right?
Probably. I was at a concert a few days ago in a Miku shirt, and some like 30, 40-year old, like greasy, what should have been a neck beard but had no beard man comes up to me. First, he just tells me how he's got 6 Miku figures in his room and this and that, and just asking me about things, and starts talking about Tokyo. And he was like, "Oh, they've opened up the borders, blah 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 blah." So it sounds like they're getting a bit more.
Well, okay, so so I've been following this pretty much constantly.
Then you have the guided tour thing.
Yeah, so basically, at first when COVID happened, what they did was they suspended visa on arrival. So normally what happens is like when we went, you just fly there to the airport, and when you land, they give you a visa for like a couple of weeks to up to 3 months.
Yeah,
And they suspended that. So now you need to actually apply for a visa beforehand, and you can't like just apply for like tourism, like just go there. You have to actually apply because like you have work there or you're doing something important there, like research or whatever, one of those type of visas. And just recently, I think a couple months ago, they started allowing people who were I think Japanese who were abroad to come back. Maybe that was last year. And then they allowed people who were like exchange students to come into Japan from outside. And then I think also some types of work as well. And so now I think they recently made it so that you can go to Japan on a tour, but you have to go with like a tour guide and you have to stay with the tour group at all times. It's kind of weird. And yeah, that's the current state. Like you can't travel normally yet.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely feel very bummed out about that. It's one of the things that because like I had it in my plan that I was going to go to Japan like within, 2021, 2022, and I still can't and I don't know when I can. And so I'm just like, I kind of wasted a lot of time sort of.
you still learn a lot of Japanese, and it means you can kind of learn at a more casual rate now.
I guess so. Yeah, cuz like
Yeah, not
when
even a silver lining, but it's just like a chill thing, I guess. But yeah.
yeah, I mean I went pretty hardcore at the start especially cuz like when I
Oh yeah.
graduated college I didn't have work yet. So I was just like going ham on it. And I've been basically just doing it for 2 years and now I'm like, shit, I still can't go. Still can't do anything with this shit. And I'm like, oh man. So I don't know. Lately, my motivation has been kind of drying up because of that, because I was gonna, if I was gonna go if I was able to go this year, I would have been really motivated, I think. But maybe next year, right?
I mean, we would be booking tickets in like February, so like 8 months away from booking tickets, and just make sure we buy with insurance.
Yeah, actually, oh yeah, so that's another thing I didn't mention. When COVID kind of broke out, I was actually planning to go up to Canada to visit some friends and to see the Miku Expo. So they were doing one in Vancouver, I think. And since my friends are near Vancouver, I was like, hey, let's all go together. It was gonna be this awesome thing, man. I was gonna go to Miku Expo, I was gonna get that limited edition merch or whatever. I was gonna have a good time. And then literally that was gonna be in April, and that's when all the lockdowns happened. It was so fucking sad, man. Just the worst possible timing. Like if it had been like a month or two earlier, I could have gone. I'm still really disappointed, and I think all the Miku expos since are just been online, even
Yeah,
now. But I am going to Canada again in like a month or so. So
really.
yeah, I'm gonna go at the end of July, and won't be a Miku expo, but I do plan to go to one of these anime conventions up there, man. Hopefully it'll
Sounds
be a
good.
good replacement.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess in terms of travel, have you I guess you just haven't traveled anywhere, right? Since that
I'm not been to Berlin.
oh, you've been to Berlin?
I went to Berlin in November, like 2021,
How was it in
for like
terms of like
3 years.
travel?
They are very, very strict with COVID, but they've got not many cases because of it. Like I've been vaccinated for ages, and I got boosted really early on because I'm high risk. So I don't want to die, so I get vaccines. So getting I had to fill in little passenger locator forms. So I had to fill one, go in there, and then I had to prove that I'd booked a 2-day COVID test for when I get back from Berlin to immediately send to my government to go in the first place. And then once I was in Berlin, I had to fill one out to go back to England. But when I was in Berlin, every cafe, like you have to, every bar, every cafe, everywhere you go, you have to show them your vaccine thing on your phone. And it's
Oh
just
yeah, that's right, because Europe is doing the whole vaccine passport thing.
so like even like I remember I was going just to a cafe to get a hot chocolate and I had to show them my thing to end. And I think you could get a takeout if you were not vaccinated, but if you wanted to sit in, you had to be vaccinated. And I guess you could argue, like people, especially people in America, and some people would not be happy about that, but it works. Like their COVID cases are really low as a result, and it's been a lot less strict. My mom and sister went to Italy about 2 weeks ago, and they didn't have to do any of the stuff I did. I think they just had to be vaccinated. But yeah, it was working, and my grandparents went to Spain, and Spain is insane with the COVID stuff. So my grandparents were assigned a local supermarket, and that's the only one they're allowed to go to. And if they go to a different one, they get fined like hugely. And the army helps out with the police to like keep COVID like laws intact. It's like make sure you're wearing a mask in a shop. Like if you're caught without a mask on in a shop, you'll get fined like £80 or something, or maybe even more. But basically, you just get fined to shit if you get caught or anything. And yeah, the military helps him like check you're following COVID since it's try and intimidate him, but seems to be working as well.
Yeah, I mean, have you heard about like the restrictions in Australia? I don't know if they're lifted now, but the
I've
ones I read
spoken,
about were crazy.
yeah, I've spoken to like Wheat and Soak and stuff about it a bit, or like heard a bit. And yeah, can't you not even travel state to state?
Yeah, like I think so Australia's broken up into different like territories or states or whatever, and you can't travel in between, right?
Yeah.
And it's but I think for a while they also had like things where you couldn't go outside, and if you were outside, there was like a limited quota of time you could be out, and they had like drones and shit to find people that were breaking the rules. It's like
Uh, Well, England had that, but they didn't have drones.
Dude, like the drone shit is crazy, man. That's like something you'd see in a movie, right? Lockdown the
Yeah.
movie. I can't wait for COVID the movie to come out in 2 years. Who do you think's gonna be the main
Well,
actor?
Michael Bay is making a film that is very similar to COVID. One sec, I'll Google. I remember seeing it. I was just like, his most recent film is basically maybe it's, am I have I just I'm sure he made a film that was basically COVID.
Did it already come out?
It's called Songbird. It came out in 2022, 2020 even.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, okay. Songbird is an American 2020 dystopian science sci-fi thriller film based on the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so at least it acknowledges that. But yeah, that is basically already covered the film almost.
Wait, how did it come out in 2020? It must have been
It's
in production for like,
December 11th, 2020. But I reckon it was probably quite shit. Because yeah, it came out December 2020. So they had like 9 months to start and finish it.
yeah,
Uh,
they could have taken their time, bro. 2021 would have been fine too.
yeah, but money.
Like, it was a cash grab, yeah, basically.
But
I,
that's another thing. Films started releasing straight to streaming services. Like, I remember, I think one of the Marvel films came out and we watched it straight through Disney Plus. You just had to pay about £10
yeah,
extra. Just
I heard about that too, and that was interesting because I don't like watch movies through theaters or streaming services, but I know how it works for a long time. It's just it goes to theater first, and then it goes to DVD, and
yeah,
nowadays it goes to streaming service instead. But now they
yeah.
seem to change that and just skip the theaters, which is interesting because like theaters were dying
They've
for a long time. It's just I don't know.
they've, they've gone back to cinemas still, and so like it's not instantly to streaming again, but it kind of gave a glimpse into what the future is. Because yeah, it was like it just makes more sense.
Yeah,
Although I love going to the cinema. Like
I haven't been in many years, like probably 7 years or something, 6 7 years.
I went a week ago to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, which side note is a really really good film. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't even remember what I saw last time. I went to like the local movie theater here. I just remember I went with my sisters, and I remember that like I really liked the movie, and they didn't like the movie at all. So that's all I have to
No.
go on.
I go with my mom and sister quite often whenever there's like a film we like the look of. Well, not whenever now, but whenever I'm back in London,
Yeah,
I would.
the problem for me is like I don't really go out anywhere because I don't like going places by myself.
Yeah,
So I just stay at
yeah.
home.
No, I would. I wouldn't go to the cinema by myself, but like I use it as like a way to just spend time with the family. I guess, even though it's quiet, but I do something to talk about after. It's just nice. Or I go with my girlfriend. Like every now and then, this is a film we like the look of. We'll go to that.
Yeah. Like I think I
Uh,
went once with my sisters just before they were going off to college, just like a
yeah.
I don't know, going away kind of thing. And then ever since then I just haven't been.
No, I'd definitely be sad if like cinemas kind of stopped being a thing. But
I
I
think they'll
think
be around, but it might get
I
to
think
the
they'll go
point.
like kind of like how there's kind of like niche cinemas that show old films quite often, and they're more arty and small. Maybe we'll go like that, and then the main releases will just be on streaming. And if you want, you can see it in this cinema.
I don't know if it's still around, but I know there was a theater around here where its premise was like it's like one of the cheapo theaters, so it shows movies later, but also it has like I think 1 day a week where the movies are extremely cheap, like the tickets, like at $2 or something.
Oh,
And yeah, you could just go and see a movie there. I think I went there a bunch when I was a kid. I think that's a cool concept, though I don't know what the prices are like nowadays, probably a bit higher, I imagine. It's still
I
running.
went to like pop up cinema that was kitted. to out to look like a UFO, and they served drinks in little test tubes and stuff.
Oh,
It was really cool.
I remember I've been
Oh,
to one of the IMAX theaters one time when I was a kid.
oh, IMAX is insane.
They're massive, right?
I saw The Dark Knight Rises in IMAX, and
Oh,
just the
bro, that's
audio.
literally the same movie I saw, and we probably saw it like the same time because this was like 2007 or whatever when it came out, right?
Yeah, when it came out.
Yeah, so I remember there was like this sort of like science museum around here where you could go walk around and there's like a bunch of interactive exhibits and stuff. It was pretty cool. And on the
Yeah,
side of the building they had like an IMAX theater. And I remember I went to go see I was like 9 years old and I went to go see The Dark Knight Rises. And I remember my sisters were there with me and they were like 2 years younger than me, so they really didn't like it. But I loved the movie. It was really good.
yeah.
I could appreciate it even at 9 years old.
Are you sure you didn't see The Dark Knight then, rather than The Dark Knight Rises? Because I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe it was that one. I'm pretty sure I saw the original and the Rises
Yeah,
one.
Rises is the sequel. The original. I've never actually seen Batman Begins, and it's actually part of the trilogy because it's a trilogy, not just two films. And I've just never seen it.
Yeah, I remember I saw. I think it was probably The Dark Knight, and I just never saw the sequel until very
I,
recently.
I love The Dark Knight.
Like what the whatever the one is with Bane in it, I never saw
Oh,
that until recently.
that's Dark Knight Rises. That's the one I saw in IMAX.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think you probably saw that one then, and I saw the first one.
Yeah, I definitely saw the sequel.
Okay, but dude, the screens there are massive. They're crazy,
Yeah.
and I think they had the This was like back when some theaters would do the 3D glasses kind of thing.
Oh, I was about to ask you, do you remember 3D glass films?
I haven't seen one of those things in forever, man.
Don't think they do them anymore.
Yeah, but I remember it's like some movies at the theater are like 3D, and so when you walk in, like you can take like one of those cheapo paper 3D glasses. There's the red and the blue lenses or whatever. It was so gimmicky, but it was fun. Yeah, now that you mentioned it, it's probably all gone. They don't do that anymore. They probably use some more advanced technology. I think they
Which is all
also
they
what
film on two cameras at once is how they make the 3D films.
yeah, it was something like that. And also I think for some movies, this is probably only like a couple that this actually happened. Was like it had like interactive in the name or whatever, and it was like if there was a scene in the movie where they're like rafting down a river or whatever, there will be like
Oh,
sprays of water, yeah, in the theater.
yeah.
And I think there would be like there would like be speakers on the side and they'll have like rumbling effects and stuff like that.
Or like, yeah, air would push at your legs and stuff. That's 4D.
Yeah,
I
4D is what it's called.
remember like Spy Kids films.
Yeah, I think that's what they
They
did.
had early what they called 4D or maybe even 3D, because I don't think they were doing 3D film. Actually, no, I think they had the red and blue 3D glasses, and their version of 4D was in the corner. It would show a number, and you were given a card where you'd scratch and sniff the number for the scene, and that was their version of 4D.
What? They actually did that?
Yeah, I'll Google it. What's it called?
Because I saw the Spy Kids movies, but I think I saw them all on DVD.
Oh, man, I saw one or two. I never saw it in cinema. No shot, my dad would have gone to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spy Kids 4 had scratch and sniff cards.
Oh, dude, actually, no, I remember reading about the scratch and sniff cards. It was like some YouTube video where it's like some guy still had one of those cards unopened and he was wondering if the smell had gone off or what it would be like. Didn't they get like recalled or something? Because they're like slightly toxic if they stay too long.
Who knows, man? But I mean, it was just impractical. And it wasn't like a small number. I'm looking at a picture now. It's a giant 4 in a big purple circle right in the middle of the screen,
Oh wow.
right next to what you're meant to be sniffing. It is not
I think that's one of the ideas that never took off. It's like the ability to smell videos. You kind of just don't want to, right?
just not necessary.
Yeah. Sometimes that's a good thing you can't smell it.
They called it aroma strobe.
Bro, can you imagine if you had smell-enabled computers and there's like a Rickroll of smell? It would just be like the worst smell you can imagine, and you link people that.
Oh yeah, no, that would 100% be it. Basically, all forms of technology is just gonna is just leading up to some terrible prank.
And we always have to take into account trolling.
Oh yeah,
Alright, so besides theaters, what else changed? Like, can you think of any like businesses or things that are permanently different now?
remote. I mean, not too. I think remote work and people have realized that remote working actually really helps a lot of people because working to your own state, you still get the same amount of work done most of the time, unless, but it's just your own schedule and just you're more productive when you're not forced into an office. And I think a lot of places do not want remote working, but remote working is, I think people have realized how good it is and how viable it is. My dad's now working, his place is in the office, it's gone back to their office, but he's quite high up, so has the option to still work like half and half. And I think he could do full remote, but he just chooses to occasionally go in because he still likes it a bit. But
Yeah, I think
just
the opinions on it are kind of like split, even amongst companies. Like, so some companies are all for it because they get to save a lot of money. Some companies are not. And I think that one of the things is on the company side, whether or not they rent or own their offices.
yeah,
For the ones that own their offices, they if like they don't have people in them, their real estate value is going to go down. So they want people to come back. And if they're just renting, they'll just end the lease and say, "Hey, we saved a bunch of money." But yeah, you're right. It was kind of like this thing where you just come into the office because that's how it's always been done, since like the 60s and shit.
I was watching a video very recently about the creation of the office by a guy called Ordinary Things. It was like a 10-minute video on just the office, how it happened, and
Is that
essentially,
the British guy that I'm thinking of?
yeah, yeah,
I've watched some of his videos. I haven't seen that one.
yeah. It was really interesting. So there was the old office, and then another guy came up with the cubicle design, and then someone else made smaller cubicles, and it basically just got to the point where it is now.
So, actually, my first job, which I got when I was in college, it was like an internship. I worked in an office that was. You ever seen the movie Office Space?
No,
Really? All right, man, you should watch that. It's a classic. All right, but it's basically think of like the most generic office cubicles that you can imagine. So you got like the dark gray carpet that's very thin. You got like the white cubicles with the white cubicle walls, and it's like a little box. I worked in basically that kind of office, and then
no, that's all different.
and then so after that, I moved to where I'm currently working, and I think the main thing in the tech industry is just basically open offices for everyone. So it's just like a big empty space with a bunch of desks put in, and you just line the desks up next to each other. And obviously now I'm remote. So like actually, I was doing internships at that company, my current company I'm working at now,
Yeah,
while I was in school, and then when I graduated, I was going to start full time. But when I graduated, it was into COVID, so I started remote, and I've been remote ever since. I actually haven't been in the office.
yeah, Chris.
So yeah, it was like I don't know. My thoughts on remote for me is that it's pretty good, although I'm kind of abuse it a lot, like a lot. Like I don't wake up until afternoon sometimes if I don't have to wake up. And as for work, I'd say I'm probably about as productive. Like I haven't had any managers on my back about my low productivity since I been working remote. So I
I
think,
think that's what I mean, as long as you do the same amount of work and
yeah,
because an important thing is not burning out from your job. And if you're enjoying how your work days go more by working remotely and fitting a more suitable schedule, then I think that's perfect.
yeah. Actually,
Obviously,
working remote's nice for so many reasons because one of the things is Number one, your commute time is zero. You can just roll out of bed and start working. I have used that a lot. Uh, you also don't have to like you can just eat your lunch at home. Like you can just cook it and eat it. You don't have to worry about like buying food or packing lunch. You don't have to worry about well, basically, so like when you're in the office, you kind of there's like this question of like, all right, I'm done with my work. What do I do now? It's basically you have to look busy. So when I was interning at my job, there's a lot of times where I'd finish the work early, and I'm like, well, I can't just do nothing now. I kind of have to like look busy. So basically, I'd be playing like these browser games, like these text browser games, and I was like, I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about. It's like it simulates like this RPG kind of thing.
Like mod,
Hmm?
a mod, a multi-user dungeon
No,
game.
no,
Like
it was even simpler than that. It's like you basically had some stats and like you could do some things and like you click this button, it's like you explore this part of the world and you get some resources. You use the
yeah,
resource to buy things. But it was all text based.
yeah,
Anyway, I'd do something like that because it's really easy to do in the browser and it doesn't look explicitly like a game because you know you're in an open office and people are always walking behind you and shit. That's actually one of the shit I hate the most about open office. It's like you have no privacy. Everyone can see your screen at all times.
yeah,
And it's just I know the why they do that just to make you like feel like you need to work all the time, right? But it's
yeah,
just it gets to you. It's like sometimes I just want to watch a YouTube video, you know, if I'm not busy.
yeah.
And that's what I do now. It's like I kind of switch between watching like YouTube or reading something and then doing some work. But yeah, mostly when I was working in the office, I'd have my headphones in constantly because if you don't do that, then other people talk in the office kind of distract you and it's kind of like the best entertainment because you don't have to have anything on your screen. You can just listen to music and you don't have to like have like a YouTube video up.
Yeah.
Although
I love
actually, when I was in
music.
my first job, I remember a lot of the times instead of music, I'd listen to like the Solace podcast while I was working. It was actually great. I went through a lot of those like that.
Yeah, I used to watch them all, like when they come out.
Did you ever you told me like I remember you had this one job, right, where you're working in this like retail store
Yeah,
and you could play the music whatever you wanted and you could didn't you listen
yeah.
to something else like a podcast
Nah,
or it
I,
was just
I,
music?
I used to just like, well, because I was running, it was only me in the shop.
Hmm.
So I was in charge of the music, so I couldn't like, actually, it does sound familiar. I feel like one time may have accidentally slipped up and just, but no, I started near the end bringing my laptop in, so I just like go on RuneScape on my laptop.
Oh yeah.
But no, I was just in charge of the music, but I got in trouble for because at the time I only really listened to like hip hop, and even if they didn't hear swearing, I remember because I'd get monitored occasionally just to make sure like I wasn't listening to inappropriate shit or something. They come in like once a day and be like, oh, and yeah, they'd always complain about the music, so I got really into AJJ and stuff around that time. Like I
Oh,
was
they
into
had no
which
problem with AJJ.
they had no problem with AJJ, which is insane.
Which, by
Like
the
I
way,
think
for the viewers, that's Andrew Jackson Jihad.
it's actually Andrew G. Hardy Jackson, I believe.
What?
I think it's Jihad Jackson.
Andrew Jackson Jihad. The other way doesn't make sense. It's Andrew Jackson's Jihad. You know, like the president,
Oh,
because he had like a jihad on the banks and stuff.
oh, man.
Yeah, that's what it references.
Oh, I thought it was just meant to sound like a name. I don't know who Andrew Jackson is, so
Yeah, I guess if you don't know U.S. history, it doesn't make much sense. But I remember like that's we were all taught in like U.S. history like about Andrew Jackson and how he was like so against the central banks, which he was right. We're fucked now.
but yeah, people were more interested. Like, I think it's just guitar music. They just were like, oh yeah, that's fine. It's probably not too rude. And yeah, there's
Aren't the
lines such.
lyrics like really weird for AJJ?
I mean, yeah, a lot of them are very.
It's like one of them is like
There's
I,
rapist and Nazi.
rapist and a Nazi, and like one of them's like the happiest. One song title is called "The Happiest People Are People Who Can Eat People."
And that's the name of the album.
Oh, the album, yeah. And it
It's a
just
great
has
album.
it has like lyrics like maybe I'll like go off. I don't remember what it was, but basically like I'll go off and kill everyone or
Oh
something
no,
like that.
there's so many ones like that.
Hmm?
There's so many like
Yeah,
lyrics. It's just like saying about like killing the neighbor kid, burning houses down.
I'm impressed you got away with that. Maybe they just didn't like pay attention to the lyrics.
No, yeah, it was definitely just the sound of the voices and the music and the beats were just they heard rap and they're like, oh, it's probably rude, and then they hear old emo folk sounding Andrew and
That's kind of funny actually. Like, cause people there's like a lot of that stuff in rap music where they have really dirty lyrics, but people don't expect that for like folk punky guitar music.
yeah,
Kind of like if you played country music and the country music had like really dirty lyrics and no one noticed.
yeah.
Did you ever play anything else besides AJJ?
I just played like Modest Mouse, AJJ, Mom Jeans. I like the microphones a lot, and then just I played a lot. At the time, it was like I had that playlist and I had the Witch House playlist that you had.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
I
cool.
got very into Ice Peak. I used to play Ice Peak a lot when that album came out.
And that's good because
Sometimes
it's Russian, so they don't
I'm
understand.
seeing it in August or September. Looking forward to that. Although I haven't heard their new album, so oh well.
I haven't
But I just
listened to any Witch House in a long time.
I still listen to a bit of Witch House, but yeah, not that much.
I feel like it's a very, very niche genre now, almost dead.
I
Because
feel, yeah, I think it's pretty much dead. Like Grimes is not Witch House anymore,
yeah, Grimes
really.
is more like poppy kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's drawing like towards hyperpop almost.
And just like all the famous bands are like, I mean, the thing about Witch House is a lot of the people who were making the music were just like druggies.
Yeah, well, White Ring, one of their like main member died like a year or two ago, so obviously they aren't making music.
I mean,
Uh,
Salem literally has an album called Yes, I Smoke Crack. And yes, they did
yeah,
actually smoke crack. So
I think they're still making music on there.
I haven't heard anything about them in a long time.
I don't know. I feel maybe not, but yeah, obviously Crystal Castles is definitely not a thing anymore.
Yeah, and I would say it's, a little bit different as well.
It is Witch House. But the early stuff was definitely Witch House. Like some of their songs weren't Witch House, but as a whole, they definitely fit Witch House.
Hmm. And also, I mean, just Witch House was a thing when I got into when I was in like high school or middle school. I guess that'd have been like early to mid 2010s, right? Is when the peak was.
Yeah,
I just remember listening to Salem a lot on my way to school and shit.
very
hmm And the Crimes was good. Uh, White Ring was great as well.
yeah,
It just had a very, very raw kind of sound, I think. Like
yeah.
the actual production of it.
Ironically, that was like kind of my music transition because now what I listen to is like happy hardcore and like hardstyle Jabber and Donk and a lot of Nightcore.
Happy
Nightcore is
hardcore and nightcore.
Well, Nightcore is like evolved now. It's not just sped up versions of songs. It's like sped up vocals, just high pitched vocals, and then just insane hard style or donk beats in the background, and it's really catchy and actually really good. So I just listen to that music, and I can kind of trace where it started. It started like dubstep when I was really young, then into Witch House, and then further and further. And now I'm here, and all I listen to is just quite fucked SoundCloud mixes. I don't really listen to anything else anymore. It's the only thing that like hits.
Shit, man.
I wanting to get out of bed. It's very helpful and it's really good for motivation.
Shit, man. You mentioned dubstep. I think that's a genre that's actually dead. Like,
Nah, I'm pretty sure dubstep must still be a thing.
no, I mean, it's a thing along the super niche people that still like it. Like, there's always going to be those people. But dubstep is not nowhere near what it was. Like, dubstep in
Well,
2011 and shit, that was
Skrillex. Oh, God.
like Skrillex and everything. Do people, everybody at my school fucking heard Skrillex and shit. I don't know if they all
Yeah,
listened to it, but they all knew what it was.
and there was a dubstep remix of every song you could think of, like on YouTube.
Do you remember that period in like anime where a lot of anime openings and outros were dubstep?
Oh yeah,
Like
like
There wasn't Tokyo Ghoul one of those or Psychopaths? I think Psychopaths had the dubstep intro or
I'm not
something.
surprised because Tokyo Ghoul doesn't. Tokyo Ghoul has probably the best anime intro song that there is, which is Unravel. That is a fucking amazing song, but that's definitely not dubstep.
Yeah, I just remember there were, and it just it always sounds so off now when you listen to it, like the dubstep intros now, because it's just you're like, oh yeah, this dates the anime a lot. This is pretty
Yeah,
old.
yeah, no, it really does.
Yeah, but as for music, like I mostly listen to what is it called, pop punk or whatever, Midwest emo type stuff. It's like mom jeans and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And also been as for I've been like listening to weird genres. Like there's this one genre called maidcore. Have you heard of that?
I think so.
Maidcore. It's literally like like a maid, and
Yeah,
all the pictures for the videos are like anime girl maids and shit.
that is not a genre.
That is a genre. It's all called. Okay, so basically what it is it's very instrumental, has very weird like kind of deep guitar shit going on, and it's I think it's like some of them sample like Russian electronic songs as well for the lyrics. Some of them don't have lyrics. I can send you some later on if you wanna see what I'm talking about.
There's a genre of electronic which is I've gotten into like oh I guess something that I do done I now help out with like DJ events with my friends and like because I just listen so much to that genre I help find DJs for my friends to book and I'm hosting my own in like a few months but there's a genre of DJ that like the entire song is made out of anime sounds like it's all the beat is just made out of samples of like sound bites to make a song. It's kind of shit, but kind of really cool.
I think there's another genre called lollycore, which is sort of
I
like
think that
that.
oh, that no that's what I'm thinking of. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, lollycore has like a lot of samples, like a lot. I think one song that I listened to it had a bunch of samples from Ghost in the Shell. I mean, it was alright. It's just very weird, like music instrumentally. It just feels like a bunch of stuff thrown together, but there's some good tracks, I guess.
yeah.
Also, it's a fun name to tell people what you listen to.
No, I would never in my life say "lollycore" out loud. Like as
Yeah,
a thing.
bro, I've been listening to new lollycore.
Yeah, no, that is a way to just kind of ruin someone's opinion of you straight away.
Yeah, I feel like that's the point of the name of the genre is just to be fucking edgy.
I just yeah, I think it also originally used a lot of sound bites from lolly characters or something. I don't know.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe yeah. But like stuff like gore shit as well is pretty good. Breakcore.
Ghost is really good. I like Breakcore. Do you like Suicide?
Um, kind of off and on. I like some of his tracks.
Yeah, they're really good. I saw Machine Girl live quite recently. Yeah, they're not Breakcore, but
I've heard a bit of Machine Girl, but I've never been super into it.
oh man, like I wasn't that big a fan. I honestly thought they were like an electronic act. And I went with Basti, and he thought I was the big fan, so he came with me because of that. I thought he was a bigger fan. I think he actually ended up being a bigger fan than me because I've only heard two or three songs, but they're not electronic. But it was the best show I've ever been to, and I've been to like the two Drain Gang shows, which is like my favorite group and stuff, and nothing compared to that like concert. The stage presence of Machine Gun was insane.
What do bands like that do live? Because if they do like a lot of electronic mixing and sampling, do they just kind of play it over live?
But Machine Gun had a bit of like an electronic background, but it was just guitar and vocal and the drummer. There was only two of
Oh,
them.
okay, so it's more traditional. It's not like some breakcore song.
It was just completely live. Like I don't, because the Spotify music sounds a lot more electronic, but that was basically just a rock show.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy, and the crowd was insane. Like the mosh pit, it was full of. But the thing is, the crowd was full of like furries, like little Twinkie people, like people weaves and shit. It was a funny crowd, and there was people who kept sticking up like their phones were screen on it just said "I'm a furry," and then people would cheer. It was a weird crowd, but then they went fucking crazy moshing.
Now that you say that, so remember I said I was gonna go to this anime convention up in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I've never been to one of those, and just like I've heard like so many stories and shit about like the weirdos at anime cons. So I'm just wondering
Oh
what
yeah.
the clientele is gonna be like.
I went to one in London a while ago, but it felt like I think it was more. It was called Hyper Japan, and it's more of just a Japanese culture convention with a focus on anime. And I think that's why it didn't seem like what I've seen on like YouTube and stuff. But maybe that's just there's just not something like that in England, or at least not something. Because I'd love to go to a proper one, but I mean, it does look kind of degenerate and like
I have no
full of.
idea how big this one is. Basically, the reason I'm going is because my friend who's up there, he said he was planning to go anyway with some of his friends. They like to go rent an
Yeah,
Airbnb and just kind of like get drunk, essentially, and I guess wander
you,
around the anime con. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what the scale is and what kind of people are there. Because one thing about Vancouver is there's actually a lot of Japanese people that come there to like study abroad and live there.
but Toronto has, I think, the highest Japanese population outside of Japan, or maybe outside of Asia or something.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if Japanese people would actually go to there, or if it's just something like weebs go to.
No, I do not think you're gonna catch pretty much any Japanese people ever. Just like any weebs, if they see like any Japanese person at the convention, fucking freaks. So like,
Yeah,
I,
fucking hell.
uh,
It's yeah, but it's very different because like there's zero Japanese people here. Literally, there's no one. I think I've talked to maybe one person in total who said they were studying abroad in Miami, but that's it.
uh, my city that I live in now is mainly Chinese or like some people from like Singapore, but
There's a fair bit
they
of Chinese people here.
they're all international students and they all really keep to themselves. Like
Hmm.
there's like areas that have like accommodation blocks and it's only for international students pretty much because that's how much it costs. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, it's just interesting. Like they really keep to themselves. It is like I've never spoken. I've lived this city 2 years now, and I've never spoken to any of the international students. They just walk in a group of international students, shop. There's loads of like Oriental supermarkets in the center of the city now, and
Hmm.
there's like a bubble tea, and they just congregate there, and then do not speak to anyone else really.
So actually, my sisters told me because they go to school up in the north part of the state, and they told me
Yeah,
there's actually a lot of Chinese exchange students as well. And I think there's so much so that there's a lot of like Chinese restaurants and stores and groceries and whatever all around there. Because every time like I've been up there and we've been driving around, I just see so many different like Asian type of restaurants and stores and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. But I think you're right. Yeah, all the Chinese
you've got,
students usually stick together.
but they're also so fucking rich. Like
Yeah, because
international,
the rich
they don't
people
get
send them.
loans. Like unis like in England like rely on international students to like really fund themselves. So they're gagging for like international students.
Oh, it's the same here, by the way, because how it works here is you pay different tuition fees whether you're in state, out of state, and then obviously you pay more, I believe, if you're out of country.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, they fucking love them so that they really cater towards international students.
Hmm. And you're definitely right that like they basically don't interact with like their normal students. They kind of just have their own cliques, and you never see them by themselves either, right? They're always in like some kind of group when they're walking.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's interesting to observe. I guess it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense, that's just they're a very social culture.
Singapore especially, I didn't realize how fucking like Singapore is just so rich.
Oh yeah. Singapore is
Like
super rich.
even more than China. Like the Chinese students like there's one person who I know or I trying to know who's in like the extended friends group of mine, and she's from Singapore, and she like all she ever does is eat really expensive food, and is also a student with everyone else. And like we're all on student budgets and eat pretty shit. And yeah, she like goes to fancy restaurants once a year, and it's just that's just Singapore. Like you can just afford to if you're. It's just England just seems so cheap in like comparison.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely that kind of culture. You know that I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this movie called Crazy Rich Asians.
I've not seen it. I've been meaning to. I've heard it's good, and the person from that film it was in Everything Ever All at Once. So I really want to see that in something else.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it actually myself. I've seen a little bit of it, like the start, but
Yeah,
I haven't finished it. But I imagine it's just like that because like the
yeah,
rich Asians just have their own like social clique.
yeah,
But I don't know, like I don't know. When I went to college here, I didn't really see that many Chinese students, so I don't think it's a thing here. At least not the one I went to. Although right next to me, there's a lot of there must be like a little mini Chinatown because there's like on one road there's like four international or basically Chinese groceries, and there's like
yeah.
Chinese restaurants and shit on the road as well. So they're all together. So I'm imagining there's a lot of Chinese people that live around there.
Yeah, there's none at my specific uni, which is like at the arts uni, but there's a few other unis, and all the arts unis in London have so many international students, and yeah, the main uni in my city has like a billion.
I don't think I actually saw a lot of international students at all in mine. I don't know why.
Yeah,
But wait, you said what kind of international students go to the art unities?
which is still just trying. When I say international, it's like almost exclusively it's always like Chinese students.
Oh, even in the art universities?
Oh, yeah, and like there's in London there's a thing called University UAL, University Arts London, and it's like a network of like unis. There's a fashion one, there's a graphic design one, there's a different kind of arts and fashion one that's like world famous called Central St. Martin's, and then a few other like arts unis. There's about five or six, and yeah, UAL is really it's like a or is a corporation. They love money, so they love international students. So like all the fashion unis, all the art unis are just full of international students who typically are actually not that good at all at art. Like they're okay, but it's like especially the fashion unis. It's just people with a lot of their parents' money who buy like very very expensive clothes just decide they can do fashion as a result.
Yeah, I
And
wonder how much of that is like culture. Because like if you like ever seen those videos about like the Chinese fashion thing, where basically their fashion is just look rich but pay cheap, so they buy all the fake name brand products. Like
oh,
the
they're very
like looking good there is basically looking as flashy as possible, like cheesy. Like everybody has like the gold iPhone, the gold tinted, and they
yeah, they're
got
not.
the hmm?
It's not subtle. Like their fashion taste usually.
Yeah,
It's
they
usually very
just kind of take whatever they think looks wealthy or
giant logos.
yeah, like of name brands and shit like Gucci, Supreme.
Oh, they fuck yeah, literally. Like Supreme hoodie, Gucci bag, Yeezys.
Yeah, that's the super standard rich Chinese kid.
Yeah, and then some of them have like recurrence outfits, but it's like the full recurrence outfit just all. And it's just like I'm jealous that you can afford it, but fuck this. But yeah. Anyway, that was like a 15-minute tirade about just international scenes. I'm starting to worry. I love Chinese people. Everyone listening, it, I just don't like international scenes that much. They're a bit rude.
I like all the ones that are not international spies. Just saying. So if you're not,
I
then you have nothing to worry about.
remember I read one. Uh, I've read a thing about someone who was in uni for their like first day of course, and some student with a laptop asked them what they thought about China, and they said they must have replied, and then the guy answered, and the guy put his headphones on and just started typing away, and then never came back.
No, but legit, there was like I watched this video where like these Chinese international students keep getting caught taking pictures of military bases. Like it's happened like 3 or 4 times now to this one military base. I think that's like an actual problem. It's like, yeah, you're not allowed to be here, and they make up some BS story. It's like, oh well, we got lost or whatever, and they check their camera and there's like pictures of the equipment there.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's like
Were they on the base or taking photos
they
like
were
through
on
the
the
fence?
base. Yeah, they went snuck into the base.
How the fuck are they?
They
Yeah,
got they
no,
got jail time for sure. Like,
got through the fence.
um, that's a good question. So I don't know. I don't know if the military base is like surrounded by like a chain link fence or if it's actually like walls. I didn't see a picture.
Wherever it is, but I don't know how. It's not very believable they got lost.
Yeah, because it's not really near things. It's kind of out there.
It's also a bit worrying they managed to sneak onto a military base, but oh well.
Yeah, I wonder if they
Security
have connections for that.
needs on to sneak into the military base. Gold iPhone.
Bro, I'd be worried about getting shot if I did that. You
Oh,
know,
for sure.
it's like, do you remember when everybody was planning to raid Area 51, like the
Oh,
meme?
we talked about this last video.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought about that again.
I was thinking about that. Just like I wonder if anyone's tried that, but something else, just Chinese related, but also what blew up really over COVID was TikTok. I don't have it, and I never plan to have it. But
Well, it is a Chinese app, so
oh well, they recently like admitted to using it to like store American users' data. Like I think 10 TikTok employees admitted to it in a like inquiry by the U.S. government in between something in 2021 and January 2022.
which is ridiculous to doubt that they weren't collecting user data because I mean it's very obvious they're a Chinese company and all Chinese companies have direct line to the CCP. There's no private companies in China. Like a Chinese company, it's not like here where like Apple could just say no, we're not giving you our user data. You know, all big companies like that, they have like a little or sometimes multiple party agents that actually oversee it. So I mean, it's just like I remember seeing all this stuff about like, oh, is TikTok spying on you? It was like obviously yes. And there
Yeah, for
was
sure.
I remember there was like talk about banning it off like the Google store and shit for the US and shit. Um for spying fears, which honestly they probably should have done. Not even just for the spying shit, because that shit rots people's brains.
Um,
I think it has definitely lowered the IQ, which maybe was their plan, is lower the IQ of many people.
oh, some of my friends use it. And my girlfriend uses it, and like sometimes I'll just be like just laying with my eyes closed, just having a nap or something, and she'll just be on TikTok, and it like actually like bugs me out because it's like every 30 seconds is a completely different sound.
Yeah, it's they started doing that on YouTube now. They have this thing called
Oh,
YouTube Shorts.
yeah, yeah. Well, Instagram has their version, YouTube has their version, and thing. Everyone's just trying to copy TikTok. I think even probably Facebook does.
I think that shit kills your attention span, if you're using it as a kid and shit.
Oh yeah, like for sure.
Because like
It's
when you,
also,
it's like what is the longest TikTok? It's like a minute or something.
I'm gonna say yes.
So like imagine
Right.
like the longest piece of content you're used to watching is like a minute. And then you like who want to watch like an hour of something, like an hour lecture on YouTube when you
Like
can just
literally,
watch
even
1 minute?
review.
Hmm?
Like my favorite YouTube video is like 3 hour deep dives or something.
Yeah, I do like those. Like what's that called? Guy called Frederick Canuckson or something?
Oh, down the rabbit hole
Down the
guy.
rabbit hole guy.
Yeah, I
I think it's
like
pretty
him.
good.
The right opinion. Internet historians now does like longer videos, but I've been really getting into someone called Wendigoon recently.
Oh yeah, I've been watching Rennigun from time to time. I
That
was, what's funny is like, I actually started watching him when he was like a small channel, and then all of a sudden he had like
he
millions of
just
views on his video.
the algorithm just started recommending him to everyone
Yeah, yeah, he just got picked up. He got lucky. But I remember
because
I
that's
was watching this conspiracy series deep dive. That was fun.
that yeah that's a nine. You uploaded the full one. It's a 9.5 hour uh
I was
uh
watching it part by part, and it was exciting to see it come out.
I haven't watched it yet. Just I don't really like iceberg videos, if I'm honest.
This one's kind of interesting because it's just like crazier and crazier shit you go down,
Yeah,
and he
I
he
was.
actually connects all the theories together, and he's like references them. He does a good job of explaining it. But yeah, there's a lot of iceberg videos out there.
I watched his mass hysteria iceberg recently.
Oh,
Well,
I did
tried.
too. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I fell asleep very early on, but I like. Yeah, like he did the one about the Wacko cult.
The Waco. Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't watched that, but I keep seeing him
that one's
recommended.
really well because I'd heard about that before. Was like I didn't know too much, but and he did the one about the North Hollywood shootout thing,
I did watch
and
that. Yeah,
those two videos have been were so good.
I
But
also
yeah,
watched the serial killer tier list. I think he did.
I haven't watched that yet.
They're actually really insane. There's like a when I watched that, I thought I'd seen a bunch of those videos on YouTube. Knew most of them, and I actually didn't know a lot of those. They're very insane.
Is it or is it the horrific serial killer iceberg one?
There's like three videos. One is called like depraved, horrific. Another's called
Like
horrific, something like that.
monstrous, horrific.
I think he has one for unresolved as well, which is always the thing that sucks about unresolved is like you click it because it's oh look it's unresolved, but then you watch and you're like upset that you don't know what happened.
Yeah,
Did you ever see? I don't know. It's not the Wendigo, but there's this one video where it covered like the disappearance of like two girl hikers. Like I think they were
yeah.
college students. It was in like somewhere in South America.
They no, wasn't it in America?
Oh, I don't think so. It was in
Well,
South America in some country, and they went hiking, and they kind of just like disappeared, and then they found like parts of them, like their stuff, all over the place, and they found like their phone with the video, and they had like all these
yeah,
pictures and
that,
with
there was a Snapchat with a guy in the background, and that's how they found who did it.
no, they didn't find out who did it. It was the basically what happened was the government marked it as an accidental death, like they got lost or something. But then the guy who did the video showed like all this evidence that like, all right, it was probably this guy that they met the day before, because he was the one
Yeah,
who actually knew where they were going, and he had a like a shady business, with shady reviews, like how he acted towards women. Like he said, oh, he jokingly make threads apparently, like I'm gonna cut your legs off and shit. And he was going over about like the bones they found and like how the bones were very damaged and that it couldn't have been damaged in the way they said. So
no, I've seen that, but I assume
maybe
they had
maybe
been
you've seen like a different person comment on it, right?
yeah, but yeah, I think just because I don't remember all of it, I had thought it had been solved because they were on about the man because they took a Snapchat story and in the Snapchat story in the background you can see the guy in a jacket
I don't
like
think it was Snapchat. I think it was just a digital camera.
and I think we're on about two different ones then.
Maybe yeah, but
I think this was a gamer from Mars video I was watching.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I
I don't
was watching.
remember what the guy's called, but what he does is like he goes over the mystery or whatever normally, like most people do, and then at the end he has like a section where he sits in front of like a virtual campfire and he discusses what he thinks happened, which
Oh,
is interesting because like most people don't do that.
if you could find him, like link it. That sounds really good. Mine was gamer from Mars. Mars. He's got interesting videos, but I find something about him really annoying.
Yeah, no, this guy's
But,
good. I'll try to find the link. And also
yeah,
he
no,
did another video. I don't know if you know about this one. It's like some kid who disappeared one day from or like he went to London and they never found him or something. He was like from somewhere else in the UK.
no,
It was like he was like a super normal kid, basically went to school back home every day, and then one day he just like left the house without telling anybody. He booked a train one way ticket to London, and then he apparently they thought that he was going to go see a concert because he was like really into metal or something, and
yeah.
no one ever heard from him again or
Hmm.
saw him, and they were trying to find it and like and that video was interesting because the it's kind of really out in the air whether or not he's alive or what happened to him.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, what were we talking about? I guess we were talking about those videos, right? Like,
Just the fact that like TikTok It's kind of the opposite of what I'm into.
Yeah, yeah, like the long form videos. Those are good.
I love dive.
And also, I think a lot of YouTube videos are just longer now. Have you noticed? Like more like 10 minutes
It,
plus 20 minutes.
it's the ad revenue. Like, is way more. You make way more money from a video. Like, if rather than doing 5-10 minutes, if you do 150 minute of it, it it has mid rolls and stuff, and you make more money.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
And also,
and
all the YouTubers are doing like sponsorships now in
a
the video.
sponsorship. I remember 3 years ago, maybe a bit longer. They were still kind of frowned upon. Like when someone did a sponsorship, you were seen as all kind of not shady, but like you were like, oh,
Like a
like you're
sell out, yeah.
yeah, you're throwing some like Rage Shadow Legends bullshit. That every single YouTube video now has a sponsorship.
Yeah, and it's just a completely standard thing. It's like, here's the sponsorship before we get
Oh,
into today's video.
man, Manscaped, Raycon,
The wallet, Ridge
Ridge
wallets,
Wallet.
the cereal thing.
Oh yeah, that's the when they're doing one. He loves that. What
Mhm.
else? There's yeah, obviously Curiosity Stream. There's Skillshare. There's that new Bespoke Post one. By the way, this video is sponsored by Bespoke Post, everybody.
Yeah, we have
But
a sponsorship with them today. They're very kind.
obviously, the biggest one of all was fucking Raid Shadow Legends. That one was like, I couldn't watch a single RuneScape video for a while without Raid Shadow
I
Legends.
think
It's
the
just,
funniest thing is that about the Raid Shadow Legends is that everybody who watches that person kind of knows that they're doing it ironically just to take the money, and
because like
the sponsor doesn't care.
they have to make it like clan on it in their sponsorship. Usually, like, oh, join my clan.
Yeah, like I'll see you on Raid Shadow Legends. It's like
There's
nobody's gonna.
not like, but I remember some art YouTuber one time was in a non-sponsored video was saying how like yeah she doesn't actually play Raid at all, and just like, I just admitted that like yeah she's like not ever played.
They have I was watching a video where they explain the Raid Shadow Legends thing, and they mentioned that what they do is they send you like a very detailed script of exactly what you need to say and do. That's why
But
they're all so detailed.
you can tell because they always say the same stuff. It's like, oh, the new Hydra boss with one poison head and one fire head that can do all your damage at once, and sign up now for 50,000 free gold, 2 rare characters.
It's
Like
crazy
the
that they're
fact that
still
I
doing it.
kind of
I guess it must be working, right? In some form.
well, the thing is they're spending quite a lot because I remember a RuneScape YouTuber when they first started doing sponsorships said that like a month. I think they like maybe had 80K, but I think they were full time. But they're like a month of their ad revenue was for one like a sponsorship was worth the same as 1 month ad revenue. Like
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Like, I wonder why they're going so hard on this. Do you think actually there's a lot of people that ended up playing with it and they just don't know that it's a shit game?
Raid Shadow Legends is like huge.
I mean,
Like and
it's a they definitely got the name out there.
it's like a gacha game as well or whatever. So
I
like
mean, to be fair, there's probably a lot of like very gullible, young kids that use their phones now, like buy that.
yeah. I remember one of my friends one time was like, "Oh, you should get Raid Shadow Legends if you're looking for a game to play." And I was like, I would never download that.
You wait, someone actually said that to you, IRL?
Yeah, yeah, he was older than me and like played some good games. And yeah, he was just like, "Oh, you should have Raid is actually like good on your phone." I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't care. It should be the best game ever." They fucking like forced it down my throat for so long. I hate them. So yeah, I don't care how good it is. I'm never playing. But like, I think it looks okay. I guess. Like,
Maybe they've made it better, but at least on release it was so shit. It was like I was reading all this stuff about it, these exposés on it.
yeah, they must have their advertising budget is insane. But I guess it's probably because like they don't have any traditional advertising. It's just YouTube sponsorships.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's like a new approach, I guess. Which I mean, I guess it works because I
I
guess what
have a
they're
mad.
aiming for is just like the either the really gullible people or the young kids that just watch lots of YouTube all the time. It's probably a lot, and you just figure like you're gonna get some people. I figure you're also gonna get a lot of like people not from the US and UK and stuff, like non-English speaking countries getting that. Like you just
Yeah,
imagine like a lot of Indian people playing that or something, Indian kids.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I bought a Manscaped.
Really?
I have one. Yeah, it's actually very. I like it a lot.
I was thinking about trying the cereal one, but I don't know, it's kind
I
of
like
looks kind of expensive to me.
I like gluten.
You like is that what it is? Like I don't like I read it, and I don't understand how they actually make that. Right. This is like it has none of this, like no sugar, it's protein, and yet it tastes like normal cereal. It's like what?
Just straight up cardboard.
Yeah, like surely it can't be good. Are they all just lying?
Yeah, I think Wendigoon's not lying to me, but also I I can't imagine that this high protein, basically lacking anything that makes a thing tasty cereal is actually any good.
Yeah, I kind of have my doubts about it too.
Yeah. But yeah, now like yeah, it used to be like kind of frowned upon. Now everybody does it.
Also, speaking of those long form videos, have you seen Let Me Know, that guy?
No,
He's super fucking famous in the scene, dude. Have you not seen him?
what's how to spell that? Is it
Um,
literally just let me know?
Let Me Know. I think it's a pun on that, but that's how it's spelled.
Oh, let me know.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, super good production quality, like insanely good. He did a video recently, I think, about Jack the Ripper, which is very interesting. It's like super deep dive on Jack the Ripper theories and circumstances. And he had like
Uh,
really good animations and shit to describe like all the like places on the map where it might have happened. But he's also done like a lot of different topics. Like he's done one pretty interesting one on the on UFOs, which I thought was interesting. He basically like went through every single reported UFO case in the US, I think, and he looked through the ones that were like verified to be fake and then not verified and then unknown, and it was pretty interesting, honestly. And then I think like a year later or two, you know that confusion that happened with the US military releasing documents on like UFOs and shit.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That was also they also released the footage of like the people in the what's it called, the air fighter jets or whatever. Um, they're like talking about the UFO that they were seeing in the video. It was interesting, and I think Let Me Know also did a video on that one.
Hmm. No,
That
I did
shit came
like
out of nowhere, didn't it? Like all
what
the
the UFO.
UFO stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was also like something I never thought about at all, and then it's like suddenly, oh wait, UFOs might be a thing.
yeah. I literally had forgotten about that tool just then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder what happened with that. If anyone made an actual analysis on that. I know Let Me Know made one, but it was kind of just inconclusive, I think.
Yeah,
But it was interesting. Also, I watched one on the Roswell incident, which is like one of the OG UFO sightings. It was like some police officer in the was it Nevada? Is that where Area 51 is?
yeah,
Yeah, it's like somewhere around there. Um, and he was like chasing this guy who was like speeding on the highway, and then the guy got away, and then while he was like parked out on the side of the road, he saw like in the desert, he saw like this I think it was like tracks or something, and he went out there, and there was like this really weird, like like the chrome metal typical
yeah.
UFO type of weird thing. It looked almost like a propane tank, I think he said. He found it, and he had reports, and they got people back there when he went back to the police station. He went back with more people, and they went to examine the site, and they found like these weird burn marks where it was. That was kind of interesting. There's like a lot of theories about that.
Why do you think? Just like they always have UFOs be shaped like a saucer, like that shape. Do you think there's a scientific reason they've decided to make it that shape?
I don't know actually. I think a lot of the original alien stuff comes from the 1940s, 1950s in the US, but particularly around the Roswell sightings. And I think it has a lot to do with, the proximity to Area 51, there was like theories that either it was the U.S. government had like this super advanced secret technology for like flight that they weren't sharing with anyone else, and you caught a
They
glimpse
wouldn't
of it.
park it just in Nevada.
Or like like some movies like Independence Day, where it's like, oh, actually the U.S. made contact with aliens and they've been using their technology.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think that's the main theories, and then also it's just like I think it just looks super sterile and it doesn't look very obviously man made almost, right? It's
yeah,
not
that's just
natural, but it's also not man made. Kind of this weird in between. Like it's too perfect to be man made.
yeah,
But it's definitely interesting because I think in that recent one where they leaked the or they released the footage of the UFO thing, they were saying like it's basically like an orb or whatever. It's like a tic tac, I think they called it, and it's just like moving in random directions. That's like physically impossible with no obvious propulsion. Like I don't really have an opinion like whether or not it's like all real or all bullshit, but I think it's super interesting that it's being talked about now. I like to
yeah,
watch YouTube videos on that shit.
yeah.
I guess this is going even further off topic, but I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch like the ghost hunting videos,
Oh
the
yeah,
paranormal explorers, that shit.
yeah,
I used
yeah,
to watch this one show when I was like a little kid coming home from school. It was called The Haunting, I think, or A Haunting. And it would basically be like quote unquote scenarios reenacted based on a true story. So like there would be like some stories like, oh, we exorcised this demon out of this one family's daughter, and in when we were exercising her, the demon came out and like the chair levitated. And obviously, it's like looking back on it, it's like really silly now, especially the way they did the production value. But as a kid, I remember it freaked me out so bad. But for some reason, I kept watching it because it was so interesting.
yeah,
I think Wendigoon also did a video about that, where it was like like the Discovery Channel had this series about cryptids, and it was like they did it like basically found footage. So they had like the actors like take a camera with them, like they're going hiking or something, and they meet Bigfoot or something, and then one of them dies or goes missing.
yeah.
Did you ever watch stuff like that?
There used to be like a ghost hunter one on Discovery Channel at a weird time that I occasionally saw on TV, but one of the only things I'm like quite scared of it that's quite irrational is I'm really afraid of the idea of ghosts. Don't
Really?
mind aliens, don't mind pretty much anything else. I hate the idea of ghosts.
I think I'm the opposite. I think aliens scare me a lot more than ghosts for some reason. I always thought like I always seen ghosts as kind of not posing any immediate threat to me. It's just kind of creepy that they're there, you know?
Yeah,
But as for like aliens, that's fucking like who knows what they might do, right? Because they're just that's the thing about aliens, like they're kind of just unknown. You don't know what they want, right? You assume maybe it's like domination, but maybe it's just I don't know. You don't know how they think. I remember so this I was watching this other YouTube video about this series of UFO sightings that happened in Florida, and it was like this one guy who had like a camera and he took a bunch of. Apparently, he kept complaining that he was being stalked by UFOs, like the same UFO would keep appearing. And the thing that separated the story out from the rest was like he actually had like um Polaroid photos of it, I think. So this was like back in the 80s or something. And it was a time obviously when, it was harder to do like photoshopping and stuff. And he had like these Polaroid photos of the UFO floating above the road. And it was like people were saying like, oh, it's really hard to fake that, so it might be legit. And there's this one guy who basically took that story and he actually went to the actual location and he interviewed a bunch of people. He tried to get like shots of the actual road where they said it happened and see if he could fake the photo himself. That's also another interesting video I recommend.
yeah.
Which was kind of interesting also. I think the guy did some weird stuff at the end of the video where have you ever heard of the this thing where like you sit out in the middle of the night under this night sky, and like you do this meditation thing, and you try to contact aliens.
Probably. I mean, I can imagine.
I think he tried to do that basically, and he tried to see if anything would happen.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a fun video. But no, what I was gonna say though, when I was watching that video, I remember I got like really creeped out and freaked out because like there was several times where the guy who claimed he was being stalked by aliens, like they would come inside his house and like the what's it called, the sleep paralysis thing, like when there's like you're in bed and you basically can't move and there's like some dark figure in the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
He was basically kind of describing that, but like with aliens, and they would go up to him and they would just basically like I don't remember if they did anything to him or if they just like stared at him menacingly, but it was I was like imagining that. It was really
I've had
creepy.
sleep paralysis like twice ever, but it's quite horrible.
I've never had it. What's it like, if you don't
Mine
mind?
was just like like I was just like waking up and going back to sleep into the same nightmare over and over, and like couldn't really move much. And then eventually, I was just able to it didn't stop until I moved rooms to a different bed. So I'm not sure if that's I don't know. I feel like that should be classified as sleep paralysis. It was just like I think I was half awake, half asleep. I don't really know. And yeah, it was just I kept having like nightmares, the same nightmare, like a continuous one, even though I was waking up. So it should have stopped. But
There's a word for that actually. There's like a word for the period of time or the state where between being awake and dreaming. It was
yeah,
I forgot what it was called, but I think it was used in some kind of ARG. But anyway, I don't think I've had sleep paralysis like that because when people say sleep paralysis, they always talk about like creepy shit happening to them. But for me, it's just been like me waking up and like I can't actually like move. So like apparently how it works is when you're sleeping, the body like the brain turns off control to the muscles so that you don't move around in your sleep and fall.
yeah,
Um, but if you sometimes when you wake up, that isn't turned off immediately. So like you'll be awake and conscious, but you can't actually like move your limbs. And I remember feeling like very uncomfortable about that because it's like that's pretty scary, right? Like you can't move at all.
yeah,
But no, I think it's only happened to me a couple times in the last few times. It's just like I know what's happening and now I just wait.
yeah.
Just damn, dude, we've gotten pretty off topic. But I guess is there anything more you want to say about you want anything else you want to go into?
Just what I'm up to now.
Oh yeah, got
Uh, Yeah, I mean, probably I'm just working, going into my final year of uni in September, and just tattooing more and more, and yeah, just trying to do that as a job. So like, yeah, busy, but things are good, and I think I've really got better at being social, and just I don't really play games at all anymore or use my computer much.
that's good.
And I like RuneScape now. I occasionally log in, and I play it as actually just like I want to, rather than when for years I just played it as a chore, because it was also my only form of social interaction was just like TeamSpeak people and Discord people. So like
Yeah,
it,
I can
that
relate.
that put a lot of pressure on like having to play even when I didn't want to, because it was like, oh, if not, I'm just alone and not doing anything. Whereas now I've got a lot of other stuff going on, so I don't really feel the need. But if I do want to actually play, I do. And I think I've got a lot better with. I know I used to. It's still not perfect, but I think from playing alts and RuneScape and TeamSpeak and watching TV all at the same time, I got like really bad at just focusing on one thing. And I'm still not really there, but I now can just like read a full screen manga and not have to like have music on or play RuneScape as well or anything. or I just watch anime and I don't log into RuneScape as well. I just full screen the anime and stuff like that, which is just nice. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like focusing on one thing at a time. It's one of the best things about not really quitting. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My power just went out and came back, so we're restarting the recording. So yeah, do you want to pick up where you left off? I think we're almost done.
Yeah. I was basically just saying that, yeah, COVID was terrible, but things are really looking up at the moment, and hopefully in a year we're in uh Japan
Yeah.
and continue upward direction. And really fucking hoping in my lockdowns. I really cannot afford to next year. It's my final year.
Mm-hmm. And also, I would say for me, like you mentioned, you've been more social, getting back to normal, been doing well. I'm kind of a
Yeah.
little bit the opposite, sort of. I have been stuck in my house for the past 2 years. Oops, looks like the net's freezing up a little bit. Yo, can you hear
Uh,
me?
yeah, you cut out for a second. I thought your power went out again.
No, no, no. It's the same thing that happened before.
Oh,
But
okay.
basically, yeah, I've been just home by myself for not by myself, but I've been home in my room for 2 years, and I haven't really done much. Actually, what is it, like 2.5 years now, right, since COVID? If you count it as start of 2020. But yeah, I haven't really done anything, and the worst part is the time has just kind of flown by. Like, it still feels like COVID started like a couple months ago, or like not a couple months, but like 6 months ago, you know?
Yeah.
But it's already been 2.5 years, which is just nuts.
Yeah, no, time perception's been a bit crazy.
So I think the main thing that I want to do is I want to start just doing something. I don't know, cause like I want to go travel, obviously, but I can't go to Japan, so I'm probably gonna just continue with my trip to Canada. Maybe do something else. I'm not sure, and then I don't know. Try to meet up with people and do things.
Beautiful. You need to come England at some point.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that this year if you're down.
Yeah, I'm always down, man.
Actually, aren't you coming here in October or something?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna probably push that back a bit. Money's been tighter than expected because yeah, I basically built a tattoo studio in my house.
All right. If you want to come, I don't know, like next year, even that's fine. I can just
Yeah.
come this year to your
Yeah, no,
place.
we'll figure something, but yeah, I think it will be 2023 if I go to Florida.
2023? Oh, okay, that's next year. Damn, when people say
Yeah,
2023, I still think that's like 2 years from now.
yeah, no.
It still feels like 2021, man. But yeah, that's I guess that's one of the bad parts about all this COVID stuff is just like it just took up so much time, and for a lot of people, like people our age, it was kind of like a critical time. Like you're in uni, or maybe getting into work and stuff. But hopefully things go a little bit better from here on out, and hopefully we don't have yet another one like the monkeypox shit that I heard about. Did you hear anything about that?
About what?
Monkeypox.
I don't even know what monkeypox is, bro.
I don't know. I just saw like a headline on Twitter. Monkeypox outbreak. Anyway, I think that it's pretty much it for this video. It's gone on long enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening.
Yeah.
And please send more fan letters if you are interested in having